I've got to see right here. That's too much to go out.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out for this little town hall meeting to discuss the trash situation in Kennett. What to do, when to do, and how to do it. I hope everybody that's in here has some sort of a solution, because the council up here is not exactly sure what to do, when to do, and how to do it. So that's why we're asking for your input. So I would like for you to be able to keep your topic down to just a couple minutes, because there's several people in here. So keep it down to 2 minutes at best, and step forward and give us what your suggestion is for the town. How can we change things up to make our town better? That's the whole process of this. Is, up here we don't want to mandate something that, one, isn't going to work, and two, something that's not everybody's going to like. I mean, no matter what decision, and I'll be upfront, the decision will not be made tonight. All this is information and information gathering on what to do, hopefully in the near future. So I'm hoping everybody in here that is here has some sort of a solution to bring forward. I use the old adage of, let's throw a spitball up against the wall and see what sticks. If it sticks, great. It might be something that is very viable and usable. If it don't stick, we'll go to something else. So, so with that, if you can, when you come up, tell us who you are, what ward you live in, and what your suggestion is on how to help your town of Kennett with this trash problem. So I'm going to first open it up to any of the council members who would like to make an opening statement before we go to our gallery.
Certainly interested in ideas, because I feel like that it's limited in what's going to be successful, so I'm looking forward to hearing ideas.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. First person to the podium, stand up and come up to the mic and tell us who you are and what ward you live in. Wow, short meeting. Okay, here we go.
2 minutes is probably not going to happen. I'll do my best. John Wheeler, Ward 5. First thing I want to do is commend the council on improvements that I see going on in the city. I love the fact that we're paving gravel roads. I love the new industry coming to town. I like the fact that we're fixing the intersections. I think it's great. And I think you guys are working in the right direction. I think in your own spitballing way, you have recommended that we go to municipal trash, where we have one provider, that's just you trying to continue your hot streak, which I understand, and that's great. But obviously, it maybe got met with some resistance, or we wouldn't be gathered here tonight to talk about it. And so I have a kind of a unique perspective that I will share in a moment, but I want to start with some questions. You can answer them now if you want, or you can mull them over. I just need some clarification with it. I've heard the number of meters estimated at 5,300.
Oh, it's like 45.
Okay, so when we're talking about one carrier providing, are we talking about providing for everything or just residential?
Residential.
Okay, so
Commercial is a horse of a different color, probably.
yeah, well, I'm glad that I addressed it. I was going to tell you that the Republic's going to be real hesitant and real glad to get their team of lawyers fired up to tell you they're not removing their 400 plus dumpsters from Kennett. So I'm glad that at least we're on that track is right. So I have to read my notes. My handwriting is atrocious. If this were to fester and become a reality, you often hear people talk about the lowest bid versus the best bid. As a council, in preparation for this, I did very little work, and Terry, attorney here, would be embarrassed to have little work I did looking into the legal part of this, but everything I read about Missouri's laws governing this kind of body in a small town, it's pretty wide open. As long as there's not a nepotism issue, best bid is just as acceptable as low bid. I need to understand. It helps me to know that the council understands it. I'm sure that you do. I'm not trying to insult anybody's intelligence, obviously, but I ask because if it comes to that, I'm not going to be the low bid. I'm not. I've been outbid in other communities in the area, and probably more than anybody involved in this process, I had the most to lose. If local carriers, other local carriers, including Sharps out of Deering and Republic out of everywhere, were involved, Republic wouldn't hiccup if they didn't get the bid, and Sharp would survive because they had municipal bids elsewhere. I, on the other hand, would be bankrupt, which is not the end of the world, but certainly not something I want to do at the age of 54 to start over. And I ask because I think I would be the best bid. This is not the time for me to share with you why. This is not a toot my own horn time. But I'd be glad to, in private, explain to any of you why Friendly Waste Management would be the best bid, if not necessarily the lowest. So, my unique perspective that I told you to have, before I made the wise decision to give up easy appraisal money and become a trash man, I covered most of the cities in southeast Missouri when I was doing appraisals, which relates in two ways. One, I spent a lot of time in other towns, and two, I did a lot of market analysis on property values. We are the only community in the area that doesn't have municipal trash. Every other city has municipal trash. I'm sure you probably haven't had the opportunity to travel to any of the other communities in our area and realize that they have the same problem that we have. We had a municipal contract in Steele when we first started. If you'd like to go to Steele and see what municipal trash does for your city, Steele would be a great example. We have one municipal contract right now. I don't want to brag, but we pick up trash at Homestead. I know. We're in Goliath and we cover all the hot spots. It takes longer to drive to Homestown than it does to pick up the trash in Homestown. Drive through Homestown and see what our municipal contract does for Homestown. It looks like we don't pick the trash up. It looks like we go there and kick their cans over and leave. So, and it's that same way in every city. Now, the question is going to be that I need clarification for, is this intended to solve the problem of specific trashed up properties, like tenants leaving trash in yards because they don't have trash pickup?
Yes.
It has nothing to do with litter. It has to do with property maintenance.
Correct.
Okay, good, then I don't have to go into my litter part of the speech, but I can tell you this. Most, in fact, I don't know of any municipal contract that exists in the area that provides for more than one can. Over 60% of my customers have more than one can worth of trash every single week. So if you grant the bid to somebody and they provide one can, you're going to have 60% of my customers who are no longer my customers still generating 2 cans worth of trash. They're not going to pay extra. They're going to hide it in the shed and pile it behind their house. Almost every bid that I've known or heard of does not have a return policy. Return policy meaning if Bill forgets to put his trash out, you can pound sand, we're not coming back till next week. So even if you are a one can person and they don't get it that week, you got to put that next week's trash somewhere. That's a second can. But you're not the honorable person you are. Instead, you're a tenant who's not going to pay extra you're gonna fill up your shed and pile it behind the house. Or put it in the den or the bathroom. And you're not solving the problem that we're trying to solve. I don't have a great solution for you, but I am here to say that I would love to be a part of a committee, a brain trust, and I probably wouldn't call for it that here. Any group that would like to get together and talk about solutions, and we have a perspective that being in the trash business gives me that somebody else might not have. I think there's a way to fix it, and I think we could figure out why, how. I'm not sure, in fact, I'm almost positive municipal trash is not the solution that we're looking for. I'd love to have the bid, but I'd certainly be willing to not have the bid and maintain status quo and look for another solution that's probably going to be more practical. Thank you.
One quick question for you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, anybody have questions?
What would you say is a direction that we could look at that's not municipal trash? You know, what is that? I mean, that's the real reason why we're calling the meeting is, you know, throw out 100 ideas. Somewhere in there, we may find one that's gonna work.
A couple of years ago, I met privately with several of you, not secretively, just not during their open meetings. I don't want anybody to think I'm doing shady backdoor stuff, with an idea. The only problem with me sharing this idea now is it kind of involved municipal trash. But it was more than municipal trash. I proposed to the council that put a bid out, and this, Terry, may be where we're in shaky legal. I'm sure, in fact,